Hey everybody, this is Harriet Cole, host of Dreamleapers. I want you to know that this episode today was pre-recorded with the intention of airing when the Harlem Festival of Culture was in motion. And what we have learned because of the weather, President Biden asked everybody to stay inside and stay home. So the festival has been canceled. You're still going to love hearing from DaQuane Cherry, but I just want you to know the festival has been canceled. Please listen. He's a wonderful man. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dreamleapers with Harriet Cole. You know, this is an exciting time, a very exciting weekend for New York City. The Harlem Festival of Culture is coming back. It was 50-something years ago. Many of you probably saw the documentary, Summer of Soul, the Academy Award-winning documentary that Questlove put together that talked about, that showed this festival that happened in Harlem in 1969, where more than 300,000 people came together to listen to some of the best artists in Black culture. Well, we're bringing it back. Harlem Festival of Culture is this weekend, July 28th, 29th, and 30th. And one aspect of the festival has been put on, created by the Harlem Festival of Culture Foundation. I talked to Nakoa and Musa last week, you might remember. The foundation is doing stuff 365 days a year to support the Harlem community. And they created an initiative between Harlem Festival of Culture and Steve Madden for merchandise to be created for the festival and beyond. And the winner of this design challenge, drum roll please, is here with us today. His name is DaQuane Cherry. Let me tell you about him before we bring him on. He is a multi-talented artist. He is a self-taught artist, a model, an actor, and designer. And his incredible artwork, like I said, won the 2023 inaugural Harlem Festival of Culture and Steve Madden Design Challenge. And it's now available on limited edition merchandise, and he's going to tell us about. It is available through stores, online, and right now at Harlem Festival of Culture. So please join me in welcoming DaQuane Cherry.
Hi.
Hi. We're so proud of you, DaQuane. So there were all these people who submitted their creative ideas for this fashion accessories collab.
Yeah.
And among them were artists, graphic designers, product designers, people who've got a lot of experience in fashion and accessories, and someone named DaQuane Cherry, who is a fine artist. So first of all, why did a fine artist decide to apply for this kind of challenge?
Well, I like to describe myself as a just artist in general, and it's
Okay.
well multifaceted and rounded. And I'm a believer of, yes, it's it's the saying, a master of one is better than a master of none. But I'm also a believer on just stepping out and seeing what you can master as well. And I'm a believer, if I can see it, I can do it. And I have, in all of the fields that I try to study or practice, I have done something in, just for my own, sake, and my own little mental resume. This isn't the first time I've done something. I actually did something with Patricia Fields. I don't know if you know who that is. Yes,
Of
that was my
course,
very
that
first.
feels iconic.
So I'm like, the world of art when it comes to me is endless of where I want to end up in. I
Beautiful.
tell people all the time, I may wake up one day and try to make an album. I'm not a singer, but you never know. You never know. So when this came about, at first I was kind of hesitant because they were looking for graphic designers. I'm like,
Right.
that's one thing I don't really try to go towards. I don't know too much about computers when it comes to design, but I was just like, the worst that can happen is I just won't get picked. So why not? Why not submit my work? And lo and behold, here we are. even when I got the congratulations, just being a part of one of the finalists, I was just in awe. And I tell people I can believe it because I believe in myself first before
That's
anything.
beautiful.
So I can believe it. But just to see it was just a beautiful dream that became a reality.
Yes. Well, full disclosure, I am on the board of Harlem Festival of Culture Foundation, and I was one of the judges for this contest. And it was absolutely a fair judging. All five finalists were excellent, as you pointed out. And there was a real camaraderie among the artists, I think, with one another and also with the Steve Madden Company, which I think is really fantastic. And then when it came time to vote, and Steve Madden himself was on the panel of judges, I'll just say, while we fought and talked and tried to figure out and make sure that we're checking off all the boxes so that we were as fair as we could be, you won hands down. And what you created is this kind of abstract person image. Can you, what is it called, and how do you describe this piece of art?
So the title of that piece was titled "The Phantom of the Child." So all of my work revolves around the teddy bear that you see amongst the image of. It was a half human face and half teddy bear. The teddy bear is shown in all of my work. Actually, I have a little piece right here. I might as well just show it. I didn't even know it was there, but you see, this is the teddy bear. It pretty much signifies keeping your inner child alive. It's always within you. It takes you to bring out that inner child. And when I think of an inner child, I think of creativity, imagination, creation, and just that pure, honest soul that a child just does so willingly. And as we get older, sometimes it gets diminished through life, throughout life experiences, adulting, and we kind of just put that on the back burner. And I always tell people that's something that you should really hone into, because without innovation, without creation, without that imaginative mind, there would be no. Right now, we're on a FaceTime thing. That was once an imagination. That was once created. Like, that's crazy to think. If back in this, let's say 1960s or 1950s, if we said something like, "Oh yeah, we have phones where we can FaceTime people," they'd be like, "What?" I'm like, okay, like Back to the Future.
Go that far back, DaQuane. We could just talk about it in the 80s.
Right. I'm saying. It's just, that was once someone probably looked at that and said, "You're crazy for even thinking that." But that was an imagination. So I tell people our power is in imagination, which children do so freely. So I try to embody that in that teddy bear. So everyone, no matter what race, color, age that you are, you can relate to that bear, whether you're 5 or whether you're 50. You have a relative understanding of what that bear means. So the Phantom of the Child pretty much was an ode to that specific human being that was painting of their adult life, but seeing that phantom of that inner adolescence, that inner creative mind, imaginative mind that's within them, that's being masked by their adulthood.
Sounds fantastic, and y'all have to see it. This art, the Phantom of the Child, you transferred very creatively and differently for each thing onto a denim jacket, onto a waist pouch, and onto a combat boot. So it's interesting because I remember talking to April Dinwiddie, who's key at Steve Madden and making it all come together. And when you all were still figuring it out, and she said, "Harriet, it's not just taking the painting and slapping it onto each thing. You worked with them to reimagine or figure out how should it best live on these different items." What was that creative process like, to take your art and to define how it should be transferred onto these different pieces?
Like you said, when we started doing the designing, that was one of my biggest things. Like, if we're going to do this, we have to do it correctly. And like you said, I didn't want it to just be plastered. I just wanted it to be printed. Like, that's it. I really wanted to, when I personally see that work, I'm like, I put all the time and effort. But also when someone that doesn't really know my work, or someone that doesn't aren't familiar with my work, they see it and see that there was thought put into this collection. There was thought that went into the whole process of the voting, the process of the selections of the competitors and the winner. And I really wanted that to show in the work and show the detailing. For instance, with the shoes, I was really adamant about making sure that all three colors of the bear was in the shoelaces. So another point with the bear was, so all three colors are the primary colors, and I put that on the bear. The red snout and the red and yellow ears signifies the primary colors. Without would leave the world black and white. So I was very adamant about making sure those three colors was in the shoestrings, that you had a choice to pick which color you wanted to be that day in your shoes, and step out into the world and be that version, whether you want to be all three, or whether you want to be red, yellow, or blue. So that was just like little tidbits that I was really sure about making sure that was on a part of the collection.
That's exciting. So how did DaQuane Cherry become an artist? Like when did you know that this was your passion and what you had to do for your life?
So I've been drawing my whole life. Then there was a period where I wasn't, because of just life. Like I kind of talk about a lot that I moved 27 times out of my life growing up. I went to 6 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, 2 high schools, was living with different family members. And art was kind of a therapeutic sense at first. But then throughout like middle to high school, I kind of had a break from it, to where I was just so focused on just trying to get out and like be on my own. I ended up graduating a year early from high school just so I can really get out and do my own thing. And I remember one of my teachers, my substitute teachers, mind you, I wasn't drawing for a while. She looked at me, she said, "You're an artist." I'm like, "Yeah, I know how to draw." She said, No. You're an artist." And that was that. Like literally that was it. I was just like, okay.
You know what? It's so interesting, Daquan. I just jump in for a minute. I recently talked to Deborah Roberts, who's Al Roker's wife. She's a wonderful journalist, and she just wrote a book. It's a compilation of many people's stories about their favorite teacher and what impact this favorite teacher had on their world, and what you are just describing. And this was a substitute teacher. I love this so much, Daquan, because it just takes one person to see you, just one.
Mm-hmm.
And that one person sees you and says, "This is the light I see shining out of your eyes." And then what happens? And if you don't have that one, it's really, really difficult, because everybody needs a champion. So what was that teacher's name? Do you remember?
I knew it. It's drawing me a blank. I'm really trying to figure it
You
out.
know what? We're gonna invoke the teacher anyway, but maybe you'll be able to remember the name
Yeah,
of
we'll
someone.
never remember, because she follows me on Instagram. I cannot think to say
That's
my
all right,
life.
just because I asked you.
She was very, when I say, but she was a gem in my life, because, like I said, she was a substitute teacher, but she was so involved in teaching, like just being there. And I'm not talking about educational teaching, like life teaching. There was even a point of time where, because I was graduating a year early, I was living so far away from my school, because I was living with my sister. It was hard for me to get to like school, because I wasn't back in North Carolina. It's more about bus systems, and I didn't have a bus system near me, so I had to hitch rides to school. And I used to be late for first period all the time, and I didn't explain to that teacher. So in their head, they thought I was ditching school. But long story short, it just feels so good, because I remember my assistant principal used to come and pick me up and drop me off. That substitute teacher, like there were so many people in my life in that moment that could have just blew past it, but really was making sure that I made it all the way through. And she was one of them.
Amazing.
So then when I got to college, I started really tapping back into that artistry. I started being in plays. I started really focusing on fashion. And then I started tapping back into drawing. There was this is how the painting came about. I had one of my friends that was in an art class, and she needed help with drawing, and she figured out that I knew how to draw. So I was like, sure, I'll do it for you, whatever. But when I like, it was a photo of Angelina Jolie, and I drew it. And I was like, whoa, I forgot how good I was. That day, literally, I kid you not, I went to Walmart and I maxed out my credit cards and bought painting, like paint stuff. I was like, I want to try painting and just see where it goes, but not career wise, just because it was another form of like therapy. And it wasn't until COVID. By that time, I was selling stuff here and there. I was in a few group shows, but COVID, the height of COVID, the day that we closed down, I was doing a Converse gig, and all of my gigs shut down from acting and modeling. And I was like, what am I gonna do? And I was like, you know what? I have so much art supplies. I don't really care what happens because the whole world is shut down. It's not in my control. I'm a believer. If it's not in my control, not to stress it out. So I was like, I'll paint until I'm evicted or something. I don't know. And I kid you not, I was painting every single day, but I was posting those paintings every day. And I went in 2020 from 2,000 followers to 10,000 by the end of the year. And then now 20,000 and up. And it all started with me just saying, I'm just going to just showcase my work more and not realizing how much it used to actually touch people. And then around 2019 is when the bear was developing, and I started doing the bear and realizing how much it really fits into people's lives. And I was just like, I'm gonna just ride the wave. I'm gonna just ride the wave, and here I am still riding it. And I have gotten so many DMs, messages of how it really touches people. And then that's when I realized, oh, this is a purpose that I was meant to have in my path, and I really have to like hone in on it and master it.
I love that. Sometimes it's right in front of your face, and it takes everything else being stripped away. You're like, oh, yes. I don't have anything. What am I going to do when there's nothing in front of me? And sometimes that stripping away allows you the space to see what you're supposed to be doing, what your calling is, which is what it sounds like happened for you. Now, we're going to go more into that in a second, but I want to go backwards for a minute because you said something significant, huge, and I'm sure that this has been true for other people. So let's take a pause and go back. Okay. And you described in your growing up that how many times did you move? What was happening? What was happening in your life? And I understand that this is tender, but if you would share what was happening in your life that you moved so much? Were you in a military family? What was the reason?
I love that you said that because that's everyone's reaction. Like, are you a military kid?
No, it's not. I didn't think it was, but what was it?
I wish that was the case. But it was a mix of different things. I grew up with an alcoholic father and a mother that really wasn't around in the beginning of my life, to where due to their actions, I was forced to be all around. I was an orphan within my own family, living with my grandparents on both sides, living with cousins, with my siblings, my older siblings, living with family friends. It was just a whole whirlwind of just due to their actions and due to them not having the resources of mental health. Mental health medicine, I shall say. And medicine, I mean therapy, whatever that may mean to anybody. It's me understanding now, taking mental health so serious, understanding that they did not have that resource, because especially in the Black community, mental health was something that was shied on. Going to therapy was a sense of like, you're crazy. And so like whenever in that generation of my parents had these type of mental disparities and these mental issues, it was just shied away. It was deemed like you just get over it and figure it out. But that led to them not being able to know how to love or nurture me properly. And that is something that now I understand. Back then I did not. But because of those disparities, that's why I had to move so much. That's why I had to up and be so abrupt with my life and not really have a sense of home until I was on my own.
And so you said you have other siblings. Are they much older than you?
I'm a middle child, so I have an older sister and I have a younger sister. My older sister, she is in her 30s now. We're 7 years apart. 25. She did have a moment where she was, took care of me. Literally right before when I graduated high school, I was living with her, and also there was moments where like she was really a part of mothering me and being a mother to me.
Thank God you had her, right? I mean,
Yeah.
even though it was hard, it sounds like the blessing of it is you were still with family as you were being kind of shuttled between people.
But I was even going to say that I look at it from a different perspective, that I was blessed enough to have more than one mother, more than one father, in those midst of moving, even down to like the school teachers and principals I was telling you about. The fact that I had so many people, even in my college, my advisors, I had so many people that I can look back on and say that they fought to make sure I got to this point that I'm at right now. So even though the foundation of it, of moving so much, was detrimental, the fact that what I got out of it was more beautiful than what was happening.
That's incredible. And DaQuane, my program that you're on is called Dreamleapers. The point of it is I bring people on who are living their dreams, who are manifesting it in whatever way. And occasionally I bring people on who talk about what the dream blockers are. But in your case, we can see, I mean, look, you are an artist. Your teacher your substitute teacher saw that you were an artist. Yeah. When everything was stripped away, here you are with all these art supplies you bought. Like, I better get to working, huh? And look at what happened. But at some point, and I want to thank you for this. You in the promotional materials around this wonderful project that you have created with HFC and Steve Madden, you talk about having struggled with mental health issues of your own. And I'll give this setup. In the month of June, Harlem Festival of Culture Foundation hosted an incredibly powerful conversation about Black men and mental health with mental health professionals, as well as Black men who are suffering. And what was so powerful about it, DaQuane, is that everybody laid their soul bare. They told the truth about what was going on with them. And it was healing for lots of reasons, including just having the courage to tell the truth in the first place. Because as you know, men usually just hold it in. Black men really hold it in, don't feel like there's a safe space in order to share it. You shared in this like debut material about your work that you had your own time of suffering. Can you tell us about it?
Yes. So around 2014, 15, it was a whole whirlwind of events that led up to this moment. A day after Christmas, it was 10th grade going to 11th grade. The day after Christmas, I ran away from my hometown of Elizabeth City, North Carolina, to Charlotte, North Carolina, to live with my dad. And I tell people all the time, I knew that living with him was going to be hard, but not following my dreams and regretting that would be harder. So I had to really make a sacrifice and realize, because where I was at just wasn't for me. I will rep Elizabeth City all day long, but also know that it was too confined for me to all the dreams and aspirations that I had. And also it was just too mentally attacking on me where I was at. So when I got there, it was so hard going into the new school and being the new face in town, and just hearing like just what people would say and the statements. And at that time, I was really trying to not understand who I was as a person and my sexuality and all that. But that was such a big like problem around, from like all the hearsay and the whispers, and then also living with my father, knowing how he was so against stuff like that, and just seeing how he could be really, it was just all over the place. So I had a moment, a very tough moment in class one day where I overheard someone pretty much trying to bully me. And I just thought to myself, which is so, I want to say sorry to myself now, my adult self, to my younger self, for thinking that way. But I thought to myself, if everyone has a problem with who I am and what I am in my life, why am I here? What is my purpose of being alive? I genuinely don't understand it. In that moment, I really did not have an answer to that question to myself. So I made a decision, and that literally in that moment, to try to end it. It was a tough time, because it got even worse when thankfully I survived. But when
you actually did try to end your life?
Yes, I had pills that I was using for when I broke my nose playing football, which is like crazy to hear. But it was even like, it was a wreck for ROTC. It was a whole thing. But anyway, I had those prescribed to make sure that my to fix the pain in my nose, whatever. I fractured it a little bit, so I had them in my bag, and I downed them, the whole bottle. It was just, I just wanted to go to sleep. I just wanted to go to sleep. I just wanted to quiet the noise. That's all I wanted. I just wanted, but to not hear again. When I woke up, thankfully I woke up. It wasn't my time yet. But what was crazy was, when I woke up, my dad was sitting right in front of me. And the first thing he said to me was, "Are you gay?"
That's the first thing he said.
And I said, "No." He said, "Because if you are, you might as well try to kill yourself again, so I don't have to do it for you."
Oh.
And
so he knew that you had attempted suicide in that moment?
Yes, because I was in school when it happened. They transported me to the hospital, and everyone was just, I guess, trying to figure out why, which is another thing about mental health and also about suicide awareness, where it's like, there doesn't always have to be signs. And that was the thing that direct signs, I shall say. Because everyone was like, he's always happy, he's always making jokes, he's always laughing, he's always doing this. So what can be the reason? Not taking account of all that I've been through, like my whole life. They never took that into account. They just thought like, well, he was happy right before us. It's like, doesn't matter, like, you have to really be considerate of people's feelings and emotions, because you never know what they're going through. But yes, in that moment, I had another just sense of like, why am I here? Like this, my own father. I battled with that statement in that moment, in that whole moment, for a very long time. A very long time. It used to just replay in my head, to the point where I used to have PTSD moments of no matter where I was at, I would have visions and daydreams of my dad just pulling up wherever I was at and attacking me and killing me.
Oh my God. And so did you end up staying with your dad? How did you extricate yourself from that?
So right after that moment, he had a contract to where he had to go away for a few months, and I was by myself for literally, it was like right after that. I was staying home alone for a while. And then that's when I got the news that I could qualify to graduate early. And I signed, but I needed a parent signature. I forged his name, and I was like, I gotta get out of here. And I told him too. I said, I forged your name, and I'm graduating in a few months, and I'm gone.
But so you were alone. Did you get after being in the hospital, after surviving, did you get mental health support at that point? Were you
So,
able to get
so
therapy?
by law, they have to put you, in North Carolina by law is as a minor, because luckily I survived. They had to put me in the psychiatric ward for a week, which was
Okay.
kind of like wild. And then right after that, they signed me up to do a therapy session. And my dad was confused why we were going to therapy. He was
He
like,
went with you.
yeah, I think if
Might
I
have had to.
I think he had to, due to me being a minor, and due to the what led up and happened to that moment. And he was against it. He did not understand it. He did not know why we were doing it. And I think we only went like once. And then that's when he left, and I was just gone. I was there for 5 months alone. And that was another time where it's just like, in my most vulnerable state, I just had to deal with it. And I had to like not deal with it. It's just put in the back burner. And once I figured out I could graduate a year early, I just was more focused on that and trying to figure out how to cultivate and be on my own. I ended up graduating a few months later. I made it through, and I went to school. I went to college in my hometown. I got accepted to the 8 universities and applied to 9, but
Wow.
due to financial aid, I wasn't able to go to any of them. And I
Mm.
was so distraught. I was just so excited, but the alternative option was community college, and at the time I thought it was the worst thing that happened to me, until I actually went and realized it's one of the best pivotal moments of my life, because that's where I found my artistry. That's where I started painting. That's when I really honed in and started acting, when I started showing up for myself as myself to the fullest and did not care who around me cared about it. But because of that, I cultivated such good relationships with people in college, such good advisors, to where they embraced that side of me and made this version of me to be able to take on New York by storm, and moved here at 19 years old on my own. And I've been here for 6 years.
Well, that's amazing in and of itself. You know, clearly the angels were looking out for you. I mean, that you were at home by yourself for 5 months after attempting to take your life. You could have easily tried again. Thank God you didn't. What was it on the inside, DaQuane, that said, I'm valuable, that I'm important in this world? Can you pinpoint when that turning point happened? What made you feel like, yeah, I belong here?
It took a while.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't right away. Even me moving to New York, it was a while, because I kind of fell dark again, to where, not to that point, but to where I didn't have those same tribes and community right away. So they were all back home. So I had to start all over from friends, just the environment I was in. So just being in such a big world of New York City, this little boy that's trying to become a man on his own. It was hard. It was hard. And I kind of fell through in that moment, and having that same sentiment of, where do I belong? Who am I? Why am I like here? It wasn't until, honestly, I created that bear.
Mm.
That's why I tell people it's more than just a branding for me. That bear helped me rebrand, pun intended, that idea of what it is to keep that inner child alive.
Mm.
And it's an ode to my younger self, to remind him that I'm here protecting you. I'm here leading on your legacy and allowing you to be a child, something that you weren't able to do. But here you are, thriving in it now, of being childish, being childlike, and allowing that to assemble into the world. Yeah, it wasn't until that bear came about and I realized the meaning of it, and also seeing how many people related to it and had that same sentiment, whether it wasn't the exact same story they went through, but had a moment in life where their childhood was robbed, or had a moment where they had to grow up fast, or had a moment to where like they didn't get to really truly be their full on selves. And that bear helps them remind. I have people that sent me uh photos of them getting it tattooed on themselves. They have, I'm like, wow, not real. And that's when it really dawned on me. This is why I survived. So I can help someone else survive.
That's beautiful. And look at what's happening. There are thousands of people who are going to be wearing those bears. You know, the sales are going through the roof already. People are really drawn to your work. And, you know, for an artist, and I love your broad definition of yourself as an artist, but starting with something that's a painting that one could put on the wall. Now this is something that so many people can wear in multiple different ways. You mentioned something else, and I thank you for being so forthcoming. So I'm going to take you down another path that is vulnerable. You said you were, as a young person, kind of trying to figure out your sexuality, and then your dad, when you woke up from having tried to take your life, kind of threatening you with this question. How have you resolved the who you are and how others judge you, especially your dad?
I always tell people that no matter who you are or what you are, you're going to get judged. So I'd rather be judged for my full self than be judged for something I'm trying to pretend to be. At least I know you're judging based off of what's real. It took time, but I will say it was the pivotal moment was when I went to my community college, Central Piedmont Community College. I will always rep them. It was there where I started realizing that I define who I am. I define my journey and my life and where to go with that and who I can be. And because my brain is so artistically all over the place, in my head, it was like, wow, I get to pick and choose the character I can be. So I might as well make sure he is a badass. And when I moved to New York, seeing so many people having that same sentiment of creating that character and that version and being that badass, it made me feel even more empowered to do that. It's like, wow, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. I'm in I'm this little tidbit of the world trying to pick and choose what character they're going to be. So I was like, I might as well like go full throttle and really hone in and really be very particular of who I want to be when I leave this world. I told my friend actually last night, and I said I'm not like I am at a space. I went through therapy. I love my life. I love waking up. But if today is my last day, that's what I told him yesterday. If today is my last day, I would be very satisfied of everything that I have done. All the people that I have touched, all of the lives that I was involved in, all of the art that I have created that had a meaning to it, all of the stuff that I have done and accomplished. I can really say if today was my last day, I will be proud of the legacy that I have cultivated already at 25.
That's a beautiful thing. I mean, I remember 25 was a powerful time in my career. You know, like the tree is blossoming, right? Yeah. It feels like the tree is blossoming and you're coming into your own and taking responsibility for yourself, which no matter who you are and what you're going through, even if it seems smooth, you are still claiming yourself separate from your family.
Yeah.
You know, it's you stepping into the fullness of you. How has your family responded to this fully blossoming DaQuane?
We love it. One person that I was really shocked was my grandfather, my dad's father, which growing up, I guess from my dad growing up, he was just as tough and gangster as they like to say. So it was very shocking to see how he was the one that really vouched for me the
Mm.
most, and me being my full-on self. I remember the first time he saw me with long hair, he was just so happy. Like
Really?
literally he embraced, yes, he loves me being me, because his sentiment is that it's not my life, it's your life. Live it to how you want it to be, and not allowing yourself to live for others. And him having such a full life, coming from the Vietnam War, and being one of the higher up people in the MTA, and seeing so much of life, um it's just like, it's your life, live it how you want it to be. So I will say that I do have people like that in my life that just loves me for me and embrace me. One of my favorite people is my cousin, like Ashley. She's literally someone that, she's like my older sister, not little sister. She's like 4 years older than me. But we grew up like brother and sister. We fight like brother and sister. But we love like brother and sister. And she has been in my corner since day one, and it has never left, and has always embraced and encouraged all of me. So I do have those people in my life that really, in my family, that makes me feel seen.
And do you have a relationship with your father today?
No, I don't. But like
Mhm.
I tell people, which is kind of hard for some people to understand, but the art of forgiveness is something that you must cultivate in order for you to evolve in life. And I forgive everything that he said and did, but also understanding that he does not hold space or a place in my life now. And he may never will, or he may one day. But in this moment, I am okay with that.
And I know that that's not an easy thing to say, but you have to protect yourself. And, you know, God willing, 25 is young. And so there are plenty of years. You never, you know,
Never
it,
know.
like you talked about from the beginning, it is a journey, right? And the journey has many twists and turns for all of us. And it will be very interesting to see as time goes on how this person who obviously is really important to you, he's got to do his own healing. You're being really honest and kind and building who you are. And like 25, see, from my perspective, 25 is a baby. It's a great baby, but it's still a baby, you know, that and it's wonderful because they're like you're on that platform and as I say, the tree is blossoming and so many great things are happening. I want to talk to you now about this process that you've been going through because you've described yourself as a self-taught artist.
Yes.
You have now spent time, part of the what you won from winning the HFC and Steve Madden contest is a time working with the Steve Madden company and all the different departments and learning how a very successful company is so successful and how the different departments work. This is an education in and of itself, I know. What
Mhm.
are some of the things that you're learning?
Um, I was seeing how the business run. I realized I don't know if I really want my own fashion business. I love it. I embrace it. I appreciate it. And it makes me have even more of a level of respect to those who do own a fashion business. But I will say though, it's the process of it though, it's been so fun to where I see me doing more collaborations like
Mm.
this. But having my own, that's a lot of stress that I'm okay with not having. Because it takes a lot. It takes a village to raise a business. Just like they say, to raise a kid, to raise a business, it takes a village. So many departments, so many people that put their time and energy and love and dedication to having such a billion-dollar business like Steve Madden. It's not just one person. And I think the reason why I'm probably saying that is just because just little old me imagining myself with such a big corporation, like that's a A lot. That's a lot. So I commend and applaud everybody that has been able to successfully do that. But I'm okay with right now not having that.
So, what are DaQuane Cherry's dreams for the future? What do you envision for yourself?
I envision so much. Being a multifaceted artist, I see so many different avenues that I know will come true because everything I'm doing now I once dreamed of. So the dreams are endless. But I see me taking on the acting world a little bit more, going back into that, coming back home to where it originally started here in New York City. Uh, Being in the fashion industry in different ways, whether it's creative directing next or whether it's being one of the top models of print and having my face on the icon issue of Harper's Bazaar and Vogue September issue. I see all of that for myself. I manifest all of that. I see me getting my Oscar. I even tell people I see myself having that album, that Grammy Award winning album. I don't like I am delusional when it comes to dreaming because there are no endless possibilities. It's an endless possibility.
Who are some of the people you look up to, in whatever field they might be, entertainment, film,
Mhm.
the creative world? Who inspires you?
So many people. I one someone that went as I was speaking on that reminds me of that is someone like Rihanna. Rihanna
Mm.
has literally been in every single one that I just named and has really
Yeah,
accomplished something from acting to modeling to music to beauty brands to fashion. Like that girl know how to work. She
no
is a
question.
hustler, and I love that about her. And just I even see me doing a campaign with Fenty Beauty one day. I am speaking it here. You guys hear it first. None of you hear it, you know. Look,
Yeah, the most important thing is to say it out loud. It doesn't happen unless you give it space to manifest. I love that. Anybody else inspire
I
you?
was about to just say that. Beyonce is someone because I have manifested me. I was in Black is King, but it started with a manifestation. I saw a music video that she did, and I saw someone that I know that was in it. It was a part of the Black is King before I knew Black is King was a thing. It was just a music video at first for Spirit. And I was like, wow, that is so cool. I wish I was a professional dancer so I can dance with someone like Beyonce. And then 2 weeks later, I got the gig to be in Black is
Ah,
King. So it's like it's like endless is possible, and a lot of people don't know that she was one of the reasons why the bear kind of started developing unwillingly because I was so inspired by her song "Brown Skin Girl." I was like, I want to do a painting that was embodying a brown skin girl, and I did a painting called "Daddy's Little Girl." She was holding a teddy bear, and she was wearing an oversized button-up shirt, which her dad's shirt, and then she was holding a red balloon and it was a yellow background and on the bear had like little accents of blue. So I was creating it like unknowingly at that point in moment, and I started doing a series of her until I had a moment where like I don't really relate to her per se, but I relate to the bear. So let
mm,
me do a series on the bear and see where it goes. And here we are. That was in 2019. So she is someone too that has a big inspiration in my life, and just seeing how hard she works and being so multifaceted in what she does. Like it's just so beautiful to see. Um so many people, even back if I want to throw it back all the way to Basquiat, he's a big influence when it comes to me because to be a black artist that was dominating the commercial industry
right.
while alive. This is before he died. Now that he's even bigger than ever, but before he died, people knew who he was, and that was
That is
in
true.
that time. That was so unheard of for a black artist. So to see him dominate that inspired me to be a living legend one day. I'm not there yet.
But that's you're claiming that's the journey you're on.
Yes.
I love it. So will you be at the HFC Steve Madden tent during the
Yes.
festival?
I
All right.
will
So
be there.
you will be there. So guess what, everybody? It's happening right now. Today is Saturday. It's happening now. It was yesterday. It is tomorrow. come to Randall's Island. Get your tickets to Harlem Festival of Culture. All kinds of incredible musical artists are performing. We're having a celebration of 50 years of hip hop, and the merch will be there, and the artists will be there. You can take your picture with DaQuane Cherry. You can buy your merch. Yes. And I just think it's so exciting. I look forward to seeing you there, DaQuane, and just so many congratulations for this moment. And we are so grateful that you are here, that you are smiling, and that you are offering your teddy bear and your art to the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. Thank you for letting me be a part of history. Like, this is a historical moment with the Harlem Festival, and this is the new age Harlem Renaissance, and that's something I also dreamed of. So thank you.
Thank you. No, we are thrilled. We are thrilled to have you, and I can't wait to see all the people who come down. Like I said, you can buy your tickets online. You can probably buy them there as well. It's Randall's Island. I think the concert started around 4 o'clock. It goes from 4 to 10. But we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you, DaQuane.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining me here on Dreamleapers. Get your tickets to Harlem Festival of Culture now. You can go online to harlemfestivalofculture.com. We look forward to seeing you. Come meet DaQuane Cherry at the HFC X Steve Madden booth. We'll see you there. Until next time, have a great day and make it count.